It is the morning of May 6th, 2022, and I am sitting in the Greenville, South Carolina Amtrak station waiting on Amtrak train number 19, the southbound Crescent. Before Amtrak 19 got to Greenville, NSP78 came south into the yard. Leading was NS-9 number 9889 and NS-SD40-2 number 3449. Running about 45 to 50 minutes behind schedule, Amtrak 19 finally arrives in Greenville. Leading the train are P42DCs 164 and 186. And on the rear of the train is New York Central private car Swift Stream. More on that later. After departing Toccoa, Georgia, we went over some really large trestles that gave us some breathtaking views. The second of these trestles is probably the most well-known to rail fans in the area. NS212 caught me by surprise when we stopped south of Seneca, South Carolina. But when we stopped south of Cornelia, Georgia at Control Point Baldwin, I was ready for NS204. (4103), 9815. And it's 1012, and it's 4496. I was not able to get the location or the ID of the train we passed, but the engine numbers of this train were NS6087 and SD40-2 an NS6919, and SD60E rebuild. NS6087, NS6919. Just north of Atlanta, we overtook NS train P51. The visibility was not the greatest outside, but I was able to confirm the road numbers for this train. NS4229, an AC44C6M, led NS9567, a D9-44CW, or Dash 9 as we like to call them, and NS7539, an ES44DC. 7535, I didn't get that either. It was like 4290 as the leader. Next, we would overtake NS train 153 with 2 AC44C6Ms up front and 2 EMDs trailing third and fourth. The third engine was NS SD70 ACU number 7258, and the fourth engine was NS SD40-2 number 3574. Take note of the headlight on NS 3574. The reason this headlight is mounted in the low nose is because at one point in its lifetime it was Burlington Northern 8166, and to my knowledge it is the only SD40-2 on Norfolk Southern's roster with a headlight mounted in the nose. $35.74, $72.58, $41.69, $41.72. After making our stop in Atlanta, we would pass by Howell Y, where CSX coal train CO42 would be waiting, with YN2 AC44 number 511 leading the way.
Because it takes you all around the world.
Our next major point of interest in Atlanta, Georgia would be Norfolk Southern's Inman Yard. We would pass by several yard jobs and locals, as well as NS Grain Train 44R. 44R would have NS 1013 and SD70 Ace, leading NS 9574, a Dash 9, and NS 4353, an AC44C6M. 1013, 9574, 4353. After passing through Inman Yard, we would stop for NS371, which had two BNSF ES44s leading an NS-9. It should also be noted that on the other side of our train was another northbound train that had just started moving when 371 passed, so we were stuck in the middle of two northbound trains that were moving at the same time. It was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen as a rail fan.
Your mama thought you was coming. Oh. Oh, okay. Well, I know Sharon and Sheila had left already. I guess they staying over there by your mama, huh? Or you got a hotel?
We would overtake our next train, NS174, at a popular railfanning spot, Control Point Bridge. Leading the train were two NS ES44s, and trailing third was NS SD70-ACU, number 7297. (7297, 8168, 7666). One tip if you do intend to ride Amtrak, be sure to bring noise-canceling earbuds, because one thing about this is you have to be able to put up with other people's noise decently well. There were portions of the trip where the kid that was screaming in the last clip would not be quiet, and it drove everyone up the wall. So noise-canceling earbuds are recommended if you plan to take Amtrak or any other form of public transportation. Back to the trains, we would pass NS G88 at Control Point Low. NS 7120, a GP60, would be leading NS 6935 and SD60E. This was my first time catching a GP60 leading a train. 7120, 69, something or other. Next, we pass another popular railfanning spot, Austell, Georgia. If the rail fans filming my train happen to see this video, please leave a comment below. I would love to be able to connect with you and to be able to see this train from a rail fan's perspective. South of Austell, we would see NS A25 with a pair of SD60Es working a local industry. 7015, 6911. The East End District has plenty of tight curves, which means slower speeds and plenty of good views of the head-end power. There were also quite a few control points getting turnouts, such as this one. Our next location of interest would be another popular railfanning spot, the Heflin and Hody Trailhead. I have been to this spot before with my good friends Daniel Suddeth and Zach Hutchinson. We will pass by the milepost 718.7 signal and cross over the milepost 718.2 defect detector before coming to the trailhead.
After departing Anniston, we would overtake NS23E with two Kansas City Southern ES44ACs leading a Kansas City Southern to Mexico SD70 Ace.
KCS4077, KCS4846, KCS4849.
I almost missed this one. We would go into the siding at Control Point Holt to run around NS220, which had KCSM 4554 leading a KCS AC 4400 CW and a KCSM ES44AC. KCSM 4554 is a rarity for these parts, mainly because it still wears Kansas City Southern's old paint scheme, which is known to rail fans as the Gray Ghost paint scheme. With Canadian Pacific having acquired Kansas City Southern, there is no telling how long this engine, and the few others like it, will continue to wear this paint scheme.
KCSM 4554, 4606, 4889.
Next, we would overtake NS 187 at Control Point Coleman, which is north of Leeds, Alabama. 187 would have NS 4058, UP 7128, and UP 7908 for the power. Judging by the speed we were going at, I'm pretty sure we were close to 79 miles per hour here. The bridge we just crossed under is the former Central of Georgia main line from Leeds, Alabama to Macon, Georgia. This line is now owned and operated by Norfolk Southern. While going through Leeds, we would pass NS-10A with NS-AC44C6Ms 4340 and 4075 leading the way.
4340, 4075.
This is a picture I took of the train going over Interstate 20, looking east. Here we are passing another well-known railfan location, Lovett Curve. Unfortunately, I didn't get a video going through the tunnel because it caught me by surprise. I will have to remember that for the next trip I take. Just north of Birmingham, we would meet NS 226, an Atlanta, Georgia-bound intermodal train that originates from Union Pacific in Los Angeles, California. UP 5485, UP 5422, and KCS 4825 led the stack train.
5485, 5422, 4825 KCS.
Passing Norris Junction, we see NS 342 putting their train away at Norris Yard. NS 3664, NS 9486, newly rebuilt NS 4568, and NS 6925 were on the point of the Selma, Alabama to Irondale, Alabama mixed manifest freight.
NS 3664, 9486, 4568, and 6925.
Next, we would pass the railfan viewing platforms in Irondale, Alabama. This first train is an NS-23E that originated in Atlanta the day prior to this video being taken. NS-4439 and NS-1006 were the power for this train.
1006 4439 Irondale Junction.
Irondale, Alabama is a very well-known rail fanning spot in the state of Alabama because it is situated at the southern end of Norfolk Southern's Norris Yard, which is behind me in this video. The next train we would encounter in Irondale would be NS-130, a New Orleans, Louisiana to Chattanooga, Tennessee mixed freight, led by UP 4193 and SD70M and UP 8078 and ES44AC.
NS-130.
After passing Woodlawn Junction, we would see NS AB10 with a pair of NS SD60Es.
6902, 6913.
Next, we pass an old EMD switch engine at a local industry. I was not able to find any information on this engine, but my best guess is that it is a GP10. We would then cross over the 32nd Street Diamond and pass the famous Sloss Furnace of downtown Birmingham. Frisco 282 Mikado type steam locomotive number 4018 sits on display outside the furnace. After passing the furnace, we would cross over the CSX Diamond and continue towards the Birmingham Amtrak station. As you can probably tell, the platform in Birmingham has seen better days. That said, the Amtrak station did look nice from the outside. What surprised me the most was the number of people that boarded the train in Birmingham. A lot of people boarded here, and really, the train was mostly full ever since I boarded in Greenville. I am aware that Amtrak is short on train crews at this time, but with that said, I genuinely believe there is enough demand for another pair of weekend trains based on what I saw from this trip. Then again, I'm just a guy that likes trains, so I could be wrong on that. After departing Birmingham, we would pass CSX Local Y196 with CSX GP40-3 number 6510 as the single engine.
Yeah, I said, don't do that. Don't do that.
We would then pass a scrapyard with a lot of cut-up freight cars. We are now flying through Bessemer, Alabama, and will soon pass under the old Atlantic Coastline Railroad Bridge. Later on, we will pass Control Point Burstall, which is the beginning of the NS3B district, which runs through my hometown.
When I was asking my daughter, she talked about she done found some kind of way. Somebody had them on. Somebody had some people on the video. You could get them for less than that. My daughter said, you might have paid 3, but you ain't paid no 8. He is, girl.
Next, we would overtake NS339, a mixed freight going from Irondale, Alabama to Kansas City Southern in Jackson, Mississippi. KCS4766 and NS4129 would be the power for this train. In Vance, Alabama, we would pass behind the Mercedes-Benz Automobile Manufacturing Facility. CEFX 2018, a GP20D, could be seen in their yard.
CEFX 2018.
We would then pass over McFarland Boulevard and go behind the University of Alabama's campus in the one and only Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The railroad to my right is Watco's Alabama Southern Railroad. This railroad has a lot of predecessors, starting with the Mobile and Ohio Railroad and the Gulf Mobile and Ohio Railroad, the latter of which was purchased by the Illinois Central to form the Illinois Central Gulf Railroad. The ICG would sell this line to the Mid-South Railroad, which would be purchased by the Kansas City Southern. KCS would let the ABS operate this railroad in 2005. I also want to point something out to the rail fans watching this video that might potentially ride Amtrak 19. Most of the sidings are on the engineer's side of the train from Greenville to about midway down the east end. You will want to ask the attendant if you can change seats to get a window seat on the conductor's side of the train after Birmingham, since most of the sidings will be on that side of the train. I say this because I started missing trains after Birmingham. The main train I missed was Amtrak 20, the northbound Crescent, which had an FRA passenger car behind the engines. I missed Amtrak 20 right south of Tuscaloosa. There were also a couple of other freight trains that I wish I could have gotten on camera, but didn't. When in doubt, get the train from the cafe car. Now we are passing Coleman Coliseum, the Alabama football practice fields, and the Sam Bailey Track and Field Stadium. Fun fact, I ran my very first track meet on this track. While stopped in Tuscaloosa, local NS 837 would pass our train with NS 6929 as the power. After Creeping through the swamps south of Tuscaloosa on a slow order, we would cross over the Black Warrior River drawbridge. John Belcher has said some questionable stuff about this bridge, so I was relieved when we got off. There was a train with UP power on the south side of the bridge, but I didn't get it since it was on the conductor's side. Another reason to move to the conductor's side, the sun will be in your face and will make taking videos difficult. We are passing through Boology, Alabama, which is home to the NSAGR Diamond and the two remaining signals from the Southern Railway era on the Alabama Great Southern South District. The Alabama Gulf Coast Railway, otherwise known by their reporting mark as AGR, is another railroad with a storied past that is close to my hometown. Originally, the Alabama and Tennessee Northern Railroad operated this line, but it was absorbed by the Frisco Railroad, which was purchased by the Burlington Northern Railroad. The BN merged with the Santa Fe Railroad to form the modern-day Burlington Northern and Santa Fe Railroad. I have very fond memories from the BN and BNSF days as a kid. After the BN-ATSF merger, the trackage south of Kimbrough, Alabama would be sold, marking the birth of AGR. The company would later be purchased by Rail America, who would then be purchased by Genesee and Wyoming, the current operator of AGR. Boology is another location that I have filmed trains at in the past. Here we are crossing the Tom Bigby River and the White Cliffs of Epes, Alabama. The next town we would pass through would be York, Alabama, another location I've filmed trains at in the past. We would then pass through Cuba, Alabama, which used to be one of my go-to railfanning spots on the AGS South District. I'm not going to lie, it hit me different going through Cuba because I could vividly picture myself in the field waving at the passing train. Just north of Meridian, Mississippi, we would pass the Dunn Road Builders asphalt plant, where GP8 number 1535 was parked within view. Things would take a turn for the worst at our stop in Meridian. The attendant announced that our lead engine was having mechanical problems, and this was going to take an hour to fix. An hour turned into 3 hours to swap the two engines. The theory is that the lead engine was not loading properly, but I was never able to confirm this. It would be dark all the way from Meridian to Hattiesburg, so I didn't get to film any more trains. That said, this did give me the opportunity to check out the private car on the rear of our train, former New York Central Swift Stream. While the wait did put a damper on the trip, I was able to talk to a few of the guests riding in Swift Stream, as well as shake hands with an Amtrak engineer. It's not every day you say you can get to do that. It would be after midnight when we would arrive at our next stop, Laurel, Mississippi. Since it was after midnight, the train crew had to do a calendar day inspection on the train, which would put us another hour behind schedule.
Well, if he smiles, some people probably do.
What do you think?
It's nice. It looks cool.
Dude, some of the plates in there from
Y'all riding in it?
early 1900s.
I just ride along a little bit with
Oh,
it.
cool. Cool.
Yeah.
We finally arrived in Hattiesburg, Mississippi at 2:15 a.m. Central Time, which was a whole 7 hours and 26 minutes behind our scheduled arrival time of 6:49 p.m. Central. Considering that my ticket and coach cost $91 and that I didn't have to fight Atlanta traffic, it was quite the adventure and I would do this again. My friends Daniel and Zach would beat me at the station, and we would head to Mobile, Alabama after watching Amtrak 19 disappear into the dark towards New Orleans, Louisiana. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe, because it motivates me to make more content like this. Thank you for watching. Till next time.